Hey, let me check in with the first two and into the third chapter of The Mermaid of Black Conch, a 2020 novel by Monique Roffey. Um, it seems to be mostly set in 1976. That's when the main bits of the action of the novel happen, though we get one of the main characters, David Baptista, looking back on the events from the 90s, the 2000s. I can't remember. 2016, I think, maybe. Looking back on the thing with gray dreadlocks at this time when he was a young fisher in the off the village of St. Constance in the village of Black Conch on the island of St. Constance, which I think is the Dominican Islands. See, I know nothing about the area, and it's one of the things I need to actually do is do. Sorry, we have barking dogs. Looking, he went out fishing, strumming his guitar, and a mermaid comes up. And this isn't a Daryl Hannah mermaid. This is a red woman, as he says, an American Indian, and he learns later that it's of a very particular people, the Tomine. Oh, I'm gonna have to look up names. Tomina. I will look up the name to have that nailed down. Go on. You don't need to be doing that. Okay. Dog policing over. They're looking at, and turns out she is a woman who has been cursed by the women of her island, feared by the men, and had her sex sealed up in a tail. And I mean, she is a large, like 600-pound creature in the water. She and also an old woman was cursed at the same time. I think we learned later from what I heard about on the Writer and the Critic, is turned into like a turtle. But yeah, they kind of get to know each other. He sings her songs. He sings her holy songs, strumming his guitar and singing to her, and that kind of them getting into a bit of relationship, in which she appears when she hears his engine. Unfortunately, we have a fishing competition that happens where a whole bunch of outside ships come to the area for a fishing competition, and especially what the hell is the name of the ship? A Boston whaler comes, owned by with two white men on board. One the father, one the son, and the father's taken the son to show him to be a real man, because he's like a goddamn sissy who's, even as a lawyer, he wants to like look after orphans and widows instead of being, a real man. And the older man is kind of referred to as somebody who's basically failed at everything he's done in his life. Also probably includes being a father and a decent human being. And they've hired a lot of the island men to go out, and I mean, it's big business for the island. This is where they're going to get a lot of money, a lot of, hopefully, a good fishing stuff. You do get that whole sense of this is a place that is under economic sway of outside forces, probably best represented by especially the older white man, and take him out fishing. And unfortunately, the mermaid, whose name I'm going to have to learn how to say too, follows and gets hooked. And it's sort of like a marlin kind of, fucking Hemingway, Old Man and the Sea kind of situation. They hook her, and there's just this whole battle, and we get to see just how impressive of a creature she is. And unfortunately, David is kind of trailing in his little boat broke, but can't follow out because basically of his limitations of his craft, and he goes back, and they finally do land her on the thing, using a gaffer hook to pull her in. It's like, it's interesting because when she first breaches, like, all the island guys are just like, nope, nope, we need to cut her loose. This is wrong. This is really wrong. But no, the two white guys are just like, no, this is amazing. We're going to make a lot of money out of this. And that talk infects the captain, one of the island men, cousin, I think, of David. Nicer Country is his name. And he ends up agreeing and using his expertise for them to land her. And the son kind of gives up after doing probably most of the work, and the old man gleefully takes over and lands her. And now we're going to see what happens, because they've got like big dollar signs and things like, we're going to exhibit her, we're going to exploit. This is definitely a thing about a mermaid, but this is also definitely a thing about men and women. This is definitely a thing about kind of exploitative Western, kind of upper, the European, American kind of exploitation of cultures. In this case, like the native, especially her being an Amerindian. We're going back to like old history, not old history, but hundreds and hundreds of years ago, at the first contact of the European and the different cultures that they swept into and took over and twisted and hammered out and turned into highly lucrative business opportunities for them, and real shit shows, bloodbaths, cleansings, genocides, destructions for the people that were there before. Yeah. So that's the first part of the Mermaid of Black Conch. Yeah, a lot of stuff getting pulled up in this story. Really interesting. All right, I will leave it there. And just also very physical, vividly realized story. This isn't, as I think I was saying with James Baldwin, it's like, yeah, have deep, vexing issues, but also have a real people, real story, real physicality, real emotional stakes in your story, or write a history book. It's important to have that this is a story. These are real people, real mermaids. That's really important. And so far, really got it. The hook in her mouth and her flailing her dark hair with stinging jellyfish in it, the spikes on her back, the pubic bone visible in her thing, the shimmering thing, the grossness of the guys talking about, oh, did you see her tits and stuff like that, is just like, it's the physical reaction of all the men to her, the sexual component of this conjured as well. It's a part of the fantasy. It's a part of the fucked up, power of this story. All right, I will leave it there. More videos later.